Hey everybody, it's your boy Nerder Kane. So I picked this book up on kind of a whim. It was up there. The cover looked pretty good. I didn't expect this to be, I kind of expected this to be for like a younger audience of comic book fans. Not the, what am I, 20, I'm like a 20 plus year, almost 30-year comic fan. I kind of didn't expect it to be for me, but as I've read this book, this is exactly what I want in a comic. This is what I want in a comic for my son in a few years when he's old enough to read and he's kind of getting into comics. So I'm probably gonna pick up a lot of this run and hold on to it for him later because it's a good read. This is a buy. This is a really good book. I didn't expect it. I expected it to be an okay comic book, but it's actually so great. It does so many things that comic books, and especially Marvel comic books, forget to do nowadays. He starts off the story, they've been sucked into this other world, and there's this giant face monster, I call it. And right off the line, they introduce these two characters, Hardline and Big Shot. It's almost like a Star Wars story where it just goes straight into action. It picked up from the last issue, which I didn't. I'm gonna go pick up later because I want all of this story arc. They're kind of confused. They don't know exactly what's going on. They've been thrown into this fight, and they're going back against that giant head. So I'm not going to show all of this. I don't want to get a copyright strike. But it introduces these two characters, and they're very interesting. They're very, I guess they're sisters. They are heroes, and it quickly does the backstory of the world used to be very similar to Earth. There were good guys, there were bad guys, there were threats from outside of the planet, other dimensions, sometimes from the planet, but just like Earth, the heroes always rose to the occasion. Look at the art. Look at this. Look at her hair. Her hair is gorgeous. That's very good art. That's very good coloring. Art overall in this book is very good. It's hard to draw children because they have kind of a weird proportioning, but this artist captures it very, very well. One of the things that they do that a lot of comics and Marvel comics forgets to do. These two characters, these two new characters are black and they're young ladies. And at no point in the comic book are they grabbing that flag and stamping it in the ground. They're black, they're young ladies, and they just happen to be heroes. Well, they're heroes who happen to be young ladies and black. Now, granted, this is a different world, so I don't know. You don't really know the racial makeup. Black on that planet might not be a minority. Black, it may just be like 50-50 black-white. Which, eventually, as humanity is going, we're all interbreeding. We're all just going to be this one homogenous, sort of brownish species. Okay, so I had to do an edit. Baby woke up. I had to take care of him. So we're getting back to this. Look at this. I like this. These are just like random heroes from this world that was destroyed. But even these are just throwaway. They probably said, "Oh, we'll just create a couple generic heroes." Even their character design is better than a lot of the current character design in these new characters in Marvel. Like, I'll use America as an example. She wears a jacket and shorts. I've described the current era of Marvel, their new characters, as very low effort, and it's what they are. These are just these characters probably don't have names, and look at them; they have better costume design than the new stuff that Marvel's coming out with. DC's just currently DC's just dominating Marvel. Another thing that DC is doing that Marvel isn't. I wanted to touch on that stuff. Backgrounds. Look at these backgrounds. This is, now granted, this isn't Ethan Van Sciver level background. He went through a period where he just liked to draw every bit of foliage in a bush, and he liked to draw a lot of it, which, as he said, probably drove his inker crazy. But I mean, looking through this entire book, there's almost always, I mean, they'll do that in an action sequence, but there's almost always backgrounds to this, and they're beautiful. I mean, they're just backgrounds, and they're not the focal point of all this, but at least there's something. You know, a Marvel artist currently would do a tight shot like this with almost no background. My recent review of Thor is a great example of that. They chose this palace to be sort of made of crystal, so they didn't have to do any background stuff. But getting back to the story, this is the giant, like, space face that latched onto their planet, and basically just was like an Armageddon. Once again, this is, look at this. This is the chemistry of these two characters. They kind of like play off each other, and they kind of rib each other. There's a moment here where the two ladies ask, "Hey, no powers in here. Don't use any powers." And Superboy is just like, "Yeah, he doesn't have any anyway, so that's easy." And there's a scene at the end where they're kind of piecing together everything that's going on. And right here, he goes, "Damn, that's really good, especially for you." These two characters, they have a chemistry that you don't see in a lot of books. They play off each other. They work very well together. There's a scene where this like clay creature kind of shows up, and Robin figures it out, but he needs Superboy to kind of help him finish it off. They're a team, you know. It seems like they've been working together for a while. I'm not sure the origin of this. I'm sure Batman and Superman kind of put them together so they could learn from each other and kind of work off of each other. But they seem to really enjoy doing it. Another thing that this book does is, you know, it just shows. There's a quick little scene of Superboy in a cheesy way going, "Hey, thumbs up, I'm here for you," and you know, kind of explaining the background of the world and what's going on. They're doing a couple things in this sequence, and it's just a quick 1, 2, 3-page sequence. Not only are they explaining the world that they're in, they're talking about the background of this character who kind of drew them in here, and they're reinforcing that this world isn't exactly like Earth, so even the water here is kind of foreign to them. Like, he says he doesn't trust the water. It's world building, and it's done so well with this writing, and just like, boom, 1, 2, 3 quick little pages, where I think the current writing and editing in Marvel is so poor that this would have been an entire comic book, possibly. A very boring comic book at that. But you know, I'm not gonna show any more of this. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to tell you guys about this book. It's friggin' awesome. I am not the target demographic. More beautiful backgrounds. Look at that. I'm not the target demographic of this book, but this book is precisely, for the most part, what I want in a good comic book. It's an adventure. The characters have kind of a camaraderie because they've been working together for a while. There are, as I say, you know, diversity characters, but they're not caricatures. They're not shoved down your throat. They're not constantly waving the lesbian flag or the feminist flag or the female flag, like you see so much of that heavy-handedness in Marvel right now. It's probably a book. It's probably a video I'll do later. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm pretty much a DC guy now. I grew up on Marvel, but as I've come back to comics in the past year, Marvel's given me so little to follow. There's a lot of cringy books. I could do roasts on a lot of their books if I wanted to, but I don't. I tend to stay away from roasts because to roast a book, you got to buy it, and to buy a bad book is not what this channel's about. Trying to promote good comics. And another thing I wanted to point out, I'm just kind of remembering it now. This book is aimed at young adults. So is Squirrel Girl. This does a much better job of, it doesn't insult the reader. It doesn't have to say stuff like, oh, we're gonna, it's just not so LOL, so random. It's just not stupid in its premise, So I mean, if my son were 7, 8 years old, and I had a choice of handing him Squirrel Girl or this, I would definitely pick this, because this is, at its core, and it's very much like DC. I got a battery warning. I'll have to edit that out because I started cussing. It doesn't have any political grandstanding. It doesn't have all the heavy-handedness that it does. It doesn't talk down to the reader. It just grabs you and it takes you on a little adventure for, 30 pages or so? And you have a good time. And it leaves you at the end like, oh, whoa, what is all this? What's going to happen next? I want to see what happens next. It keeps the interest all the way through. Yeah. So that's my review of Super Sons. Like I said, it's not really aimed at the more mature demographic, but my God, this is a good book. This is a fun read. This is a book that if you have a young person who sort of watching the movies and was interested in getting into comics, this is a book to get them. This is an introductory book to show them. It's a lot of fun. That's all I got for now. You know me, I'm Nerdicane. Hit me up on Twitter. Tell me what you think in the comments, if I missed anything or if there's anything you wanted to add. And hit the like, hit the subscribe. Thank you all for your time, and talk to you soon.